Yeah, yeah. Somebody come get this nigga, he smoking that shit again. Still his bitch, that shit sad. I'm finna hit again. Load it up, send him home. I'm posted up, $1 million home. 10 lines on my account, I still can't call a bitch. Ain't do it all alone, I still need all of it. Run around me into all of it. Bought my mama a crop bird, like she want ostrich. Beating this like she still squirt. I got to take the tag off my jacket. Damn, cost me more than it did the ops a casket. So much head, I almost died from it like Zach. Hit his bitch with my nails painted, I hold up. Somebody come get this nigga, he smoking that shit again. Us. Still his bitch, that shit sad. I'm finna hit again. Load it up, send him home. I'm the type of motherfucker nigga never have my hand down. Stupid motherfucker in my pocket, nigga know I got my cash hanging out. Big daddy on that motherfucker long way, know that bitch hanging out.
Ooh. Hello. Hi, it's me. I know I said I probably wouldn't let that song play out fully, but I did. I lied. Hi. I'm back. On time. On schedule. On the correct day. And yeah. If you can tell by the title, today is gonna be a little bit different. Um I think I notice a lot with these Friday ones that 9 times out of 10 is not going to be obviously not a lot of football outside of Thursday night football. Y'all know how I do football, so there's no point in bringing that up. And basketball, unless it's like a huge performance, which it was last night, Giannis, um, ain't really too much to talk about. Other than that, I figure why not? Why not on episode 1 episode 11, we do the mid-season award predictions for today. But if this is your first time watching, first off, if this is your first time watching, go ahead, like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. I completely stole that from Charlie Williams, by the way. But yeah, go ahead, like, comment, subscribe, post noties, all that good stuff. And I'm your gracious host, Jalen. And yeah, man, this episode is going to be a lot of just award races for the NFL, going over MVP, Coach of the Year, Defensive Player, Offensive, blah 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 blah, and then giving my thoughts on the Bucks and last night's terrible loss to the Pacers after Giannis dropped a 50 piece. And seeing as today is Friday, tomorrow is UFC 295. UFC 295. And get my predictions about essentially the two main cards, the two fights that I'm interested in the most. And that'll be an episode. So yeah. Hopefully this isn't too long. Hopefully this isn't too short. Hopefully it's right in that sweet spot. But yeah, hopefully y'all enjoy this episode. And let's just get straight into it on the MVP. Who does Jalen Miles, the host of the Lazy Cast with Bonnet Grogu in the back, think the NFL MVP is of 2023? Like how I'm building up the suspense. Anyway, first off, I'm not gonna give you the winner just yet. I will give two runner-ups. And like how I really like to, show some stats with you guys, things of that nature. And spoiler alert, I don't have any out of position players. Because as much as I would love to give, say, a Tyreek Hill or I'm just throwing out names, Christian McCaffrey or something like that, a nod in the MVP race. This is 100% a quarterback award, and there will always be a quarterback award unless we have a Tyreek Hill go drop 2K in terms of yardage and things of that nature, or Christian McCaffrey just does the unthinkable and stays healthy and also has 2K yards and is the best player in all of football type shit. But sadly, while I think those two players are phenomenal players and will definitely be later on in the show in offensive player of the year um, races, I just don't see that award going to someone that doesn't play the quarterback position. Should it be like that? No, I don't think it should be that way at all. It's not the most valuable quarterback award. It is who is the MVP. And if you look at what MVP stands for, is the most valuable player, not most valuable QB, not most valuable. You get on point. You get what I'm saying. So it won't be no out of position players. I was very much thinking of some that I would say, and those two guys were very big candidates of mine. With one being Tyreek and the other being Christian McCaffrey before he got hurt a little bit. But nevertheless, I'm going to share my screen with one of my other one of the runner-ups that I think. Actually, I probably should have did this on Stat Muse, but go back, set it up, bing bow bop. Two is a runner-up, honorable mention, whatever you want to say. I'm not putting these guys in placements because they're not winning the award in my opinion. Um, so so yeah, but like I mentioned, Tua Tagovailoa, the quarterback of the Miami Dolphins, and we looking at his stats, 6-3 on the year. It's basically 70% completed, almost 3K, around 2,600 yards. Averages about 9 yards per pass. 20 touchdowns on the year, basically. He's about to hit 20 next game. 7 picks. Don't look at that fantasy. Don't care. But yes, one of my runner-ups is Tua Tagovailoa. Now, prior to the year going on, looking at Tua, he leads the leagues in passing yards, leads the league in touchdowns as well. Passing touchdowns, I should say. It's hard to not have him at least in that conversation of top three, top two, whatever in terms of MVP voting. Now, the reason I would not give him the edge over my MVP essential candidate or winner, I should say, is for the simple fact of the record 6-3. Miami already has that stigma of they can't beat winning teams. Tua against winning teams doesn't look bad, but he's not his usual Tua self. He's not the usual Tua when the motherfucking Dolphins put up 70 plus on the Denver Broncos. They're not blowing teams out. If they're not blowing teams out, things of that nature, it kind of, I don't think, how can I say this? Not to say I don't think Tua can't make decisions and pressure. I think he is one of the better Q. The hell? He is one of the better QBs, obviously, in all of the NFL. Like looking at his stats against the Kansas City Chiefs last game and looking at his stats against, in terms of losses against better teams, he doesn't have, again, bad games. It's not that he has bad games. It's just that it's not up to his usual standard in terms of what we normally see, when they won by 50, when they blew out Carolina, when they blew out the Giants, obviously, because these are some of the weaker defensive minded teams. And these are just some of the worst teams in all of the NFL. I would say outside of what is it? I really the only true team that they really beat that you can say was somewhat of a contender was the Chargers, and that was week 1, and they barely beat them by 2 points. So I would say turnover wise, in terms of throwing picks, he's calmed down a little bit. He in terms of last season, obviously last season he was hurt a bunch, so won't hold that against him at all. But in terms of this year, I would say turning the ball over really hasn't really turned the ball over that much, and I love to see that. You love to see that for your franchise quarterback. Um, but yeah, I just I me personally, I wouldn't give it to Tua. I wouldn't be mad if Tua wins the MVP. I think he damn well deserves it, but I just think there's another player in mind that I think deserves just a little bit more than him. But again, I would not be mad if Tua wins this award. Um, but yeah, I would simply I don't know. I think it's these three losses. It's these three losses that's really throwing me off because Miami is gonna be a top 3 seed in the AFC? I would believe so, looking at their schedule. I think that would be a top 3 seed. So he'll have the wins. He'll have I guess the requirements in terms of being in that MVP race. I don't think requirements. It just simply be performance. And it's to say, nah, he doesn't have the stats, but I think it's just other another player, I should say, that has better capability than him. And yeah, but Tua is a run up. Look at this name. My lord. Tua Tagovailoa. I'm not even going to try to pronounce that. His middle name's Badani. I have a cousin named Donnie. Anyway, I'm not even going to try to pronounce this because I would offend all of Samoan culture and everyone in Hawaii. So yeah, I'm not going to try to pronounce that. But yes, Tua is one of my runner-ups, and yeah, Tua is a runner-up of mine, and I'm going to switch over to Stat News. One second. I'm going to switch to Stat News because I just like using Stat News a little bit more than anything else. So yeah, I'm gonna switch over to Statty Muse. And for my MVP, I was gonna do initially 2 runner-ups, but I'm just gonna keep it at 1. I'm gonna just keep it at 1. I'm not gonna lie, this year, and I love me some solid quarterbacks. There's also obviously a bunch of great quarterbacks this year in Lamar, Pat, Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, things of that nature. But man, the quarterback play this year has kind of been lackluster. It's really just been like it's really been like every other position. It seems like that's been really like going the fuck off. It just seems like that way for me personally. Now, my MVP is probably very contradictory. That's how you say it, contradictory, because this guy is on the best team in all of the NFL. This guy is currently playing, I think, the highest level you can play right now. And I think he's playing some of his best and smartest football that we've seen from him since, again, his 2019 MVP year. That guy is Lamar Jackson. Now, look at the stats. And then compare it to what I just showed you with the 2,600, 19 touchdowns, only to 7 picks, on essentially one of the best offenses, if not the best offense in all of the league, in the Miami Dolphins. Blah blah blah. I completely understand. Again, if Tua wins this award, I am not going to be like, oh, God damn it, I fucking hate this. I'm not gonna do any of that. I will be happy for him. It would mean a lot to me, honestly, if he does win it, because especially coming after what he suffered last year, to concussion after concussion, missing the playoffs, and coming back this year and putting up crazy numbers. I would wholeheartedly not be upset. Just want to get that out there. However, this man right here, I believe, is playing some of the best football in all of the NFL. He's running the ball at an extremely crazy rate. And you look at the passing stats, only 9 touchdowns to 3 picks compared to Tua's 19-7. It's like, well, how the fuck could you justify, honestly, saying Lamar Jackson? For one, he's on the best team in all of football. Pure point blank. This is coming from an Eagles fan. He's on the best team in all of football. His ability to run the ball is second to none. The best dual threat quarterback we have in all of the NFL. Passing wise, while his numbers may not be popping out to you in your eyes like, oh shit, this nigga damn near almost has 20 touchdowns. Lamar doesn't have a Tyreek Hill. And this isn't a shot at Tua, but Lamar doesn't have a Tyreek Hill that he can just throw up 50 yards, 60 yards, 70 yards, 45 yards. He can just throw 10-yard drag route and that 10 yards turned into 35 just because of the yak. Lamar is being very smart with the ball with, I don't want to say less weapons, but less weapons than Tua. He still has Mark Andrews. Odell has been lackluster. He was hurt. Like I mentioned, Mark Andrews is still Mark Andrews. Justice Hill, the running back, has been running the ball phenomenally. Lamar's been running the ball phenomenally. The Ravens as a whole has been running the ball phenomenally. So I understand. I understand. Again, I would not be mad if people look at this and say, yeah, this guy is bullshit. I'm just going to stick with Tua. And that's fine. I don't have a problem with people saying Tua. I don't. I don't have a problem at all. I don't. I would not be upset if I hear people in the comments, Tua, 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 Tua. Again, I don't mind it. But me personally, this is my MVP pick right here. Lamar Jackson. Give this man competent offense, competent defense, good rushing attack, solid tight end, solid wide receivers, and Rashad Bateman and them boys. See what happens. You see what happens. But yeah, my MVP pick is gonna be Lamar Jackson. Moving on to offensive player of the year. Now I kind of already gave you guys two um picks or two names, I guess you could say. But because this award is so, the candidates in this is so stacked and the award in this is so stacked, I'm going to pick three candidates for this. Now, the very first runner up of this is who probably at the beginning, if you would have, I think, said this at the beginning of the year, like before the, like not before, but when the season started, this guy would have been 100% MVP and offensive player of the year. That's how good he was. Kind of slowed down a little bit, got injured, and this team is also on a losing skid. That should kind of give it away. If you hear my stomach growling, ignore it. This guy, if he would load up, CMC, Christian McCaffrey, is one of my runner ups. Now, CMC, like I mentioned, if this was early on in the season, obviously in week 9, if this was, say, like week 4 or 5 or some shit, then yeah, this guy would have 100% had this award locked up. He had the award locked up, no questions asked. Looking at his stats on the season, 656 yards, 9 touchdowns, 9 total touchdowns, I should say, 13 total touchdowns, only 3 fumbles on the year. Man, it has been a very big weapon to this San Fran offense. Obviously, we saw that very early on in the season. And when he went down with the injury, he was very missed. came back in Minnesota, still put up numbers, and in a loss to Cincinnati, still put up numbers. All season long, he's been doing nothing but just being a anchor for this San Francisco offense, for being one of the best on one of the best teams in all of the NFL, being essentially being the most important part of this San Fran offense. So I would say he is one of the runner ups. Arguably, not arguably, he is the best running back in all of the NFL. I don't think that's a shocker or anything like that. So yeah, I have CMC as one of my runner ups. Now, for the guy that is also who really it was before it was just CMC and Tyreek Hill. This guy essentially threw himself into the conversation with a crazy 6 game streak of 125 yards plus. Only wide receiver to do it since Megatron himself. Ladies and gentlemen, I have AJ Brown. AJ Brown 100% to deserves to be in offensive player of the year talks. Without question. You can make the argument that this man is the best wide receiver in all of the NFL. You could make that argument. And you can make the argument that really the only wide receiver that is either better than him or on the same level as him is Tyreek Hill. Other than that, I don't want to hear no other wide receiver's name involved with this man's involved with this man right here. And if his name isn't Tyreek Hill, that's currently playing. Obviously, the reports of Justin Jefferson is supposedly supposed to be coming back. He's questionable for Sunday's game, but he's supposed to be coming back to practice after Minnesota's amazing comeback win. Um, excuse me, against Atlanta. So we'll see. But as of right now, this man, the touchdowns may not be there, but because 9 times out of 10 they're doing the brotherly shove, the tush push, whatever. But looking at this man, the 6 game streak that he went on, essentially being 1A, 1B with Tyreek Hill, in my opinion, looking at his stats on the year, having a total of essentially 1,000 yards, six touchdowns, 15 yards on average. Um, man, it's hard. It's hard not to no fumbles lost on the year. 1-on-1 essentially is free food. You can expect him to have yards after the catch as well. Probably not to the degree, obviously, as a Tyreek Hill because he is the fastest thing on the planet all of a sudden. But he's still one of the biggest, baddest, strongest dudes at that wide receiver position. But I think we all know who's going to win this award. I think we all know who is going to win this award. As much as I love AJ Brown, as much as I would want to try to push that agenda that he is, and that this guy is the offensive player of the year, I just can't. I couldn't do it. I couldn't bring myself to it. Ladies and gentlemen, the 2023 offensive player of the year is Tyreek fucking Hill. I wholeheartedly believe that this man has the chance to get close to 2K on the year. I think he really does. I don't think he will get it, but I think he'll get close. He was 100% on pace to getting it. He was 100% on pace to getting it. He was on pace to getting it. And man, if he gets remotely close, or if he does get close to it, I think we really would have to start talking about this man in MVP conversations. He's currently in it, but like I mentioned, it's a quarterback award, so I wouldn't see him winning it. But just for the simple fact that this man is just different. Um, like I mentioned earlier, talking about AJ Brown, I wholeheartedly believe that Tyreek Hill is the best wide receiver, or tied with AJ Brown and being 1A, 1B in terms of wide receivers in the NFL. And when Justin Jefferson comes back, I still think he's going to be in that upper echelon of wide receivers. I don't even think it's close. The speed that this man has is second to none. Is really, if you don't double him, damn near off the line, is probably gonna be a free touchdown. If you don't double him on this little curl route that's coming off, it's probably gonna be a touchdown. Don't run zone, and if you do, your man's better be coming over the top early. The second the ball snap, I need my safeties over on Tyreek's side. I'm being so serious. Running man, might as well get special teams ready. Miami might as well get special teams ready. Might as well. I'm being so serious because I've seen this man burn secondaries year in, year out, all year long. Looking at his stats on the year, like I mentioned, he was the fastest wide receiver in the Super Bowl era to hit 1,000 yards. He did it in, I believe it was 9 games. So yeah, this man is different on the year. Currently, is just a different beast. Looking at his last couple of games, excuse me. Looking at his last couple of games, essentially just cemented. Had even when his kind of an off game against KC, still was phenomenal. Obviously phenomenal against New England. Had a solid game against my Eagles. Demolished the Panthers and also demolished the Giants. He's a different animal. So yes, I would 100% say that Tyreek Hill is without question the offensive player of the year. But moving on from offense and moving to my favorite side of the ball, we have defense. Now, I have two guys that I believe will be fighting for this award for years to come. I have two guys that will be fighting for this award for years on end. And one of my runner ups, and I only have one runner up for this. So who you may be thinking is not that guy. It is Miles Garrett, one of my runner ups. Honestly, I was tempted to just say fuck it and have this man win it because, dog, Miles Garrett is special. 9.5 sacks on the year, four forced fumbles, a blocked PAT, oh, blocked field goal. I'm sorry. 19 tackles. Last 5 games played, 12 tackles, 5 assists, 17 combined, 4 tackles for a loss, 5 sacks. Like, dog, this man is ridiculous. Utterly ridiculous. Utterly ridiculous. This man is a nightmare for any offensive line. I don't need to tell you how great Miles Garrett is. Obviously, the work speaks for himself. It sucks because I was very tempted to just say fuck it, man. This man, I wanted to give it to him because he is, I think, one of my favorite defensive players that's not an Eagle. You know, because my favorite defensive player is Darius Slay. But outside of the Eagles organization, he is my 100% my favorite defensive player. 100%. But, but, there is one dude that has been playing just as well, if not a little bit better. That's why when I say I feel like these two guys are going to be fighting for this award for years in and years out because this guy has been playing just a smidge better on a worse team, single handedly carrying them to wins. Not to say that he hasn't, not to say Miles Garrett, especially in that Indiana game, my lord, basically won them the game. Basically, single handedly won them the game. So Miles Garrett has that ability to, not to say that he doesn't, but this guy has this team in a winning record. Both of these dudes have their teams in winning records, but I gotta give the slightest, like the minuscule of edges to who I think is the real DPOY, Mr. TJ Watt. 2-time DPOY winner. This man He has 7 picks in his entire career. What the fuck? Why, yo? Why is DJ White out here? Why is this man DJ White out here getting picks like this, bro? What the fuck? Anyway, like I mentioned, TJ Watt is the defensive player of the year in my humble opinion. This is, I hope this is going to be a trend while I'm picking players with like the lesser stats, because well, not even lesser stats. It's like, well, Miles Garrett has more tackles and his imp. Not to say like these guys are single, like really just the same player, damn near. It's just that one plays in Pittsburgh and the other plays in Cleveland. One's white, one's black. That's really the whole, like the only differences that you could really point out with TJ Watt and Miles Garrett. Maybe that TJ Watt plays the passing lane just a little bit better. Um, Plays the passing lane just a little bit better. Other than that, in terms of pressure, getting to the quarterback, making the offensive line's job a living hell, these guys do it at an extremely extremely gifted rate that no other players are even close to matching in today's age. I'm not saying of all time, but just in today's age. But looking at TJ Watt, who would win his second DPOY, Defensive Player of the Year, we have 15 tackles on the year, 9.5 sacks, 2 forced fumbles, and along with an interception. Looking at his last 5 games, 6 tackles, 5 assists, 11 combined, 3 tackles for loss, 3.5 sacks, a pick. And he has some distance on it too, with 24 yards and 4 pass deflections. So, like I mentioned, he plays the passing lane just a little bit better. He gets his hands up a lot faster than Miles Garrett is. Not to say that Miles Garrett doesn't, but he plays the passing lane a little bit better. So, depending on what you want, if you want sort of a hybrid, kind of, sort of, and your lineman that can get you picks if the need be, can force fumbles, can make plays, can single handedly change the game, you would go for a TJ Watt. If you want more of a traditional D line, not to say that there's anything traditional about Miles Garrett because he is everything but traditional. That man is a freak of nature. Um, who he's gonna do the same thing just without the picks, without the interceptions. Pick your poison. It really, again, this is award. This is another award where I'm not going to be upset if Miles Garrett wins this award. These two are two of my favorite defensive players. I like Miles Garrett just a little bit more. But in terms of what you value more for your D lineman in today's age, shit, I'm going to go with TJ. But like I mentioned, it is very close. It is very, like, minuscule close. It is very fucking close. Very close. Very, very, very close. So, yeah. Other than that, my defensive player of the year, I don't think a lot of people would disagree with either one of these options. A lot of people probably may be mad, and by people I mean Cowboys fans. Where's Micah Parsons? Where's Micah Parsons? Blah, 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 blah. He would be a runner-up. I just don't think he's better than these two guys, and I just don't think he's having a better season than these two guys. I think is no question that T.J. Watt and Myles Garrett are the two best defenders in all of the NFL, without question. Again, depending on what you value more, is who you think is the better defender. But I don't think it's kind of like the wide receiver position. 1A, 1B. Pick who you want. Pick who you want. You want TJ? You think TJ's better? That's fine. You think Miles is better? That's fine. But in no way, second, in no circumstance should Micah Parsons ever be above these two. And this is not coming from a Cowboy hater. I don't hate the Cowboys, by the way. But this isn't coming from a biased Eagles fan. This is me speaking in terms of just players and impact that they make. Not to say that Micah Parsons doesn't have an impact on the game, because he wholeheartedly does. But I just simply think that TJ Watt and Myles Garrett is wholeheartedly better than Micah Parsons. That's just it. That's just it. It doesn't involve, you know, any type of bias, any type of anything like that. Promise. Next, we have Coach of the Year, and I have really 2 candidates. Actually, no, I have 3 candidates for this. Um, One is a dude that I thought last year was gonna be would have won this award. I thought last year he would have won this award. Did I spell his name wrong? I think I spelled his name wrong. Uh, anyway, but yeah, last year he won this award. There it is. Last year he won this award. I last year I thought he should have won this award. I thought he was going to win this award because I thought this team was going to be a lot better than what they were. But obviously they underperformed. But I don't think this coach, in terms of, I don't think this coach will win it, but he definitely deserves his flowers. Um, Also, another thing, I'm not doing assistant coaches of the year. I'm just not. So, but yeah, I will do coaches of the year. And for the coaches, I will show the teams, the ratings, etc., 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 etc. So, just for that, just a heads up on how I'm going to be doing. Essentially, you know, coach of the year. I'll just be showing the players. I mean, showing the teams as a whole. And the first team, the first runner-up, I should say, is Doug Peterson, former Eagles coach, Super Bowl champion, Doug Peterson, and the Jacksonville Jaguars. I wholeheartedly believe last year, I thought this team, man, I was so high on this team last year. I was like, oh, they got Doug Peterson. Dog, this team finna be a 10-win team. This, that, and a third, woo, blah, blah, blah. And obviously it weren't. Obviously last season, they were not. And that's fine. But this season, sitting at 6-2, and not the strongest conference. I mean, the strongest what's it called, division. Don't care. I really don't care. Sitting at 6-2 in terms of opponents' points per game, sitting at 8. Fairly good stats all of the year as an all-around team. Passing yards per game, our top 15 team. Rush yards per game, top 14. We have Travis Etienne, who has about 600, close to 600 yards this year. Trevor Lawrence almost has 2K on the year, and Christian Kirk, who's finally starting to perform very up to his contract standards, along with Evan Ingram as well. Those boys are both very dangerous, and can't forget Calvin Ridley. And in terms of points per game, they are averaging 10th. But let's compare it just to last season. Thank you. Just compare it to last season. Just really quickly, just compare it to last season. Around the same, you know, around the same in things, but obviously the record and the wins and losses, it was just not. It was not it. It wasn't it. So I think they will finish better than 9-8. I think that's what really is going to push them over the hump. I think this team is obviously still very young. They're going to continuously get better. They're going to continuously be a better unit. There's obviously still a very young team. Can we please stop showing that? Anyway, so yeah, I think Doug Peterson wholeheartedly deserves some type of recognition. What did I just say? Recognition, recognition, deserve his flowers. I don't know why I couldn't say recognition. What? Okay, let me stop before I say something crazy. Anyway, I have Doug Peterson as one of my runner-ups for uh for Coach of the Year. Now, another team that also 100% deserves, and by other team I mean another player, another coach, another whatever you want to call it. This guy 100% deserves his recognition. We have Michael McDaniel and the Miami Dolphins. Now, with this team and with this coach, I was above the train. I was on the train of Mike McDaniel for Coach of the Year, Mike McDaniel for Coach of the Year, Mike McDaniel for Coach of the Year. And again, I would not be upset if Mike wins this award. Hell, I wouldn't be upset if Doug Pearson was award, depending on how they perform against how Jacksonville performs against what's it called it? Who are they playing? The 49ers this upcoming Sunday. I would not be mad if he starts to get more recognition. So, looking at this roster, obviously leads the league in points per game, rushing yards, everything offensive base. You got it. Rushing yards lead second in the league, first in the league. Anything offensive base, this team got it. In terms of defense, not the strongest suit, not their strongest, Obviously, Mike McDaniel is more of an offensive minded guy. When he was assistant coach at San Fran, one of the best offenses in the league, on top of having Kyle fucking Shanahan. Please. But yeah, obviously 25th in opponents' points per game. Not that great. But however, like I mentioned, anything dealing with offense, they're essentially first in passing yards, rushing yards average, rush yards, averages, yards, points, total points, anything really. This team's got it. This team's got it. So the reason I wouldn't say that this team would be one, or that Mike McDaniel would be one, I should say, and being my coach of the year, is for two reasons. One, they are currently 6-3. And while I don't believe in the stigma that Miami can't beat winning teams or teams with winning records, it's still there, if that makes sense. It's still a thing. They have not beaten a team with a winning record. And the team that I use as an example, the Chargers, was week one, and when they did beat them, they barely, like, scraped by beat them. So I would need to see a little bit more, for one, on the defensive side of the ball, because obviously defensively was the biggest question. Obviously, they got Jalen Ramsey back and some other pieces, but I would just need to see them improve a little bit on defensive side of the ball, as well as beat some teams with winning records, or just beat some solid teams. Because we know what this team can do against Carolina. We know what this team can do against the Giants. We know what this team can do against the Patriots. Because why? We've seen it. We know what they can do against the Broncos. We've seen it. Against a team that is not great, or a team that has shit defense, we know what they can do. So we will see how they perform against the Raiders. And again, another team with another losing record. So just to compare really quick to last season, and last season they were also very good. Um, I just again the biggest issue was Tua and his concussions, and him not being able to stay healthy was obviously the biggest reason as to why they weren't able to go far in the playoffs. So before any of that, if this would load, what? All right, well, I guess I'm not. For some reason, I can't compare it to last season. But anyway, let me close this to build up the suspense. I think the wholehearted truth, nothing but the truth. My coach of the year, one of the better teams on all of the NFL. I, again, still reserved on if they are a Super Bowl contender. However, you cannot argue with the production. My coach of the year is none other than Dan Campbell and the Detroit Lions, or Dan Campbell of the Detroit Lions, with a record of 6-2. Offensively, I think was the biggest shock for me with this team, just for the simple fact that not even I'm not offensive. I mean defensively, it was the biggest shock for me with this team, because last season they could score. Perfect example was the Seahawks game where they was both putting up 40, and was Jared Goff and Geno Smith was looking like their fucking prime selves back in college, back in their early years. But in terms of offense, top 10 in the league in scoring, or points per game, I should say. In terms of defense, top 15 in opponents points per game, rushing yards per game, they're top 5 or top 6, and passing yards per game also top 6, sitting at 6th. Looking more, it's just none but green, baby. None but green. Like I mentioned, offensively, 8th in the league in yards, 12th in the league in points, 10th in the league in rushing yards. Rushing averages are 10th in the league. Passing yards are also 10th in the league. And just scoot over to their defense, the opponents' rankings in terms of defensive side of the ball, third in POY, fourth in opponents' yardage, second in rushing yards, second in rushing attempts, second in rushing averages, passing yards are top 11 ish, top 10 ish. So this team compared, if this would let me show. Oh, so why the fuck can I do that with the Dolphins? That's weird. Obviously, compared to last season, the Detroit Lions 9-8 was very, very close to making the playoffs. Um, not making the playoffs, but very, very close. But just couldn't get over the hump. Why? Because defensively they were hot doodle butter. Um, but yeah, as you can see, defensively was their biggest problem. Offensively, they could score with the best of them, but holy crap, defensively were they bad. 28th in points, 32nd in yards, 32nd in average, 29th in rushing yards, 21st in rushing attempts, 30th in rushing average, 30th in passing yards, 31st in passing average, 32nd on first down. 30, it goes on and on and on and on and on and on and on. So obviously, last year compared to this year, this team has made countless of strides, countless of improvements on the offensive side of the ball, adding more weapons like a Devontae, like a what am I saying? I almost said Devontae Graham. That is a point guard for the Spurs. Like a David Montgomery who's been playing solid, but is hurt right now. But Jameer Gibbs, who is finally starting to come into his own, basically has 400 rushing yards on the year. Amon St. Brown, one of the best wideouts in all of the NBA. What? NFL. Jared Goff, who's performing like a top 10 quarterback. And also, I wouldn't be shocked they're getting MVP votings this year. And also, as a whole, Sam Laporta, who's been playing well. The rookie tight end, who's also getting a lot of targets from Jared Goff as well. This team has obviously outperformed my expectations. I thought this team was going to be good. I did. I didn't think this team would be first in the NFC North and second in the entire NFC as a whole. I didn't think that. I thought coming into this year that the Vikings would be essentially where they were, and I thought they would be in the Vikings position. I don't think it's bad. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I want the Vikings to do good. um, I'm happy. And a lot of this success comes off of the back of a man who's willing to bite kneecaps off, and that man being Dan Campbell. But yeah, shouts out to the Lions. Shouts out to Dan Campbell and them boys. All jokes aside, I think 100% he deserves to win Coach of the Year. The way that he's got this team performing, the way he's got these players performing, um, essentially rejuvenated Jared Goff after the whole Ram situation, after essentially they kicked him out, and the way that this defense went from being dead last in basically every single category to being one of the better defenses in all of the entire NFL, having one of the best O lines in all of the NFL, having a young, hungry wide receiver in Amon St. Brown, top 5 wide receiver in Amon St. Brown, having Jared Goff perform well, having a dynamic duo at running back in Jameer Gibbs and David Montgomery. Dan Campbell's got this team on the right track. And just for that, he will be the coach of the year, in my humble opinion. Again, all these guys that I'm saying are runner ups. I don't have a problem if Doug Peterson was to win this award. I don't have a problem if Mike McDaniel was to win this award. But in my humble opinion, I think it should go to Dan Campbell. Now, with this next award, I bunched these up together Um, just for the simple fact that it's a lot of rookies. And but yeah, I just bunched these up together. But in terms of offensive rookie of the year, I really don't need um I really don't need to say too much. I'm gonna just be honest. I've seen a lot of people throughout Puka Nakua, um, AR5 if he was still healthy, I definitely would have been in this race. Brian Robinson, but Atlanta doesn't want to give him the ball for some reason. Don't know why. Um, but yeah, it's this guy. I don't even need to. There's no runner ups. There's no run ups for this. It's this guy. It's CJ Stroud. CJ Stroud is 100% the offensive rookie of the year, and I don't think it's even close. Like I'm gonna be so transparent, so honest with y'all. CJ Stroud is a damn near top 10 quarterback. It's it's not a lot of quarterbacks that you would probably want to take over this dude right now. And especially seeing the way that Bryce Young is performing. And this isn't a shot at Bryce Young because I also really like Bryce Young. Um, but looking at what he's doing currently, having 2,200 yards on the year, a 62% completion rate, 10 essentially 103 QBR rating, 14 touchdowns on the year, had the longest streak of games without an interception. 14 to 1 interception rate. 14 to 1. 14 to 1. Just let that sink in. For a rookie quarterback, this isn't a veteran. This isn't Patrick Mahomes. This isn't Josh Allen. This isn't this isn't Joe Burrow. This isn't any of those guys. This is this guy's first year in the NFL, in the pros. And you're telling me there's someone else that deserves to win this award over him? No. Fuck no. No. It's not even it's not even up for debate at that point. Looking at his stats again, like I mentioned, I really all I have to show you is this 14 to 1. That's all I have to show you. That's all I would have to show you is just 14 to 1. Oh, that's not enough? How about we just look at this whole last 5 games? Or better yet, let's just look at the last game he had. Let's just look at the last game he had, the very last game. And to say that he's not rookie of the year. Hmm? I love Puka Nakua. I love Brian Robinson. But they're not taking this award from this man. Get the fuck out of here. No. No, 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 no. AR5, if he was still playing, I've said this many of times on the show, on this pod. He was my favorite quarterback coming into the draft, or coming out of the draft, I should say. And no, it's not even close. I don't think it's close at all. It's not even close. 475 touchdowns, 0 picks, and a comeback win over a Tampa Bay team. It's CJ Stroud. It's not close. It's it's not close, people. It's not close. This guy, I honestly, like, you can make the argument that this man is a top 10 player in the league. I mean, not top 10, top 10 quarterback in the league right now. Can make that argument. Can make that argument. And you can make that argument that this man is top 5 at his position. For defensive rookie of the year, my bias might be showing a little bit, but I don't care. I don't. Jalen Carter, I think, is the defensive rookie of the year. 100% steal of the draft. There is no if, ands, or buts about it. This man was the steal of the draft, and he just so happened to land in Philly. What are the odds? What are the odds? Looking at his last 5 games, 5 tackles, 6 assisted, 11 combined, 3 tackles for a loss, 2.5 sacks. Looking at his entire stats on the year as a whole, he's only missed 1 game. Very good. 9 tackles for loss. 9 tackles, 7 assists, 16 combined, 5 tackles for loss, 4 sacks on the year. The man on that D line makes the Eagles so much better. It's not even funny. It's not. Take it for someone that's been watching Eagles games. Take it from someone that's been watching Eagles games day week in and week out. The When this man is not on the field or when this man is not in the game, our D line, while I think is one of the best in the league, if not the best in the league, when he is added inside that D line, it is damn near impossible. Damn near impossible to protect your quarterback. It is damn near impossible to run that ball up the middle without seeing Jalen Carter. Almost impossible. And he's very smart too. I think that was another thing that I've noticed from him. He's very smart. He knows when to play for the ball. He knows when to just go for attack. He knows things that you will only see from really veteran defensive players, defensive tackles. So yeah, I think Jalen Carter is the defensive rookie of the year. Maybe biasy on my part, just a smidge, just a tiny bit, just a smidge of biasy, but I don't care. I don't care. But yeah, those are all of my picks for NFL MVP. I have Lamar Jackson with the runner-up being Tua Tagovailoa. For Offensive Player of the Year, my two runner-ups, Christian McCaffrey and AJ Brown, in no particular order. Again, for any of these, I guess another runner-up for MVP would probably be like Jalen Hurts or something. But since for all these other ones, I've done like multiple. But yeah, for Offensive Player of the Year, my two runner-ups would be AJ Brown and Christian McCaffrey, with the winner being Tyreek Hill, who on pace probably is going to hit 2K yards this year. And if he does that, he might win all both fucking awards, and I would not be shocked. But for Defensive Player of the Year, my runner-up is Myles Garrett. And if you want to throw another player in there, throw in Micah Parsons, who I mentioned earlier. But I think the winner is going to be 100% TJ Watts. And for Coach of the Year, my two runner-ups was Doug Peterson and Mike McDaniel. But the winner, I believe, is going to wholeheartedly be Dan Campbell. And for rookies, both offensive and defensive, I didn't have any runner ups. I guess for offensive, you could say Puka Nakua, but I think it's the race is so like one sided. It's not even funny. I didn't even bother putting any offensive. But if you want to, you can say I guess Puka Nakua, who again very solid wide receiver. But I think he will struggle now that Stafford is hurt right now. So that's why I don't really see him having a way of even being close to winning this award from CJ Stroud, who I think is going to be Offensive Rookie of the Year. And Eagles fan, bias, he's talking, I think Defensive Rookie of the Year goes to D tackle Jalen Carter. Now that that is all out of the way, let me know that you guys, or let me know all you guys and girls, opinions, disagree, agree with all my picks. Let me know if I missed someone. Let me know if there's a player that you just was like, no, he shouldn't even been a runner up. But yeah, let me know down in the comments below. But shifting gears a little bit, we move from one sport to the next, that being basketball. There were only two games last night, so I won't go too in depth. I won't spend too much time on this. However, I will give my predictions on the games tonight. And by games, I mean the not second round, but the rest of the first round, I guess you could say, or continuation of the first round of the in season tournament that is happening. I didn't do a recap of the last week's games on Friday, so I'll do that this week. I'll do that this week on Tuesday. On Tuesday, obviously. I won't do it today because the games haven't happened. But yeah, on Tuesday I will review actually the games that happened and do a recap. It'll be quick because Friday, Tuesday, the games will be old unless some crazy shit happens. But 9 times out of 10, I really won't, it really won't matter. But so yeah, looking at I always forget to share my screen. But looking at last night's game, the biggest talk, the biggest news that is going around town is Giannis Antetokounmpo and the Milwaukee Bucks lost to the Indiana Pacers 126 to 124. The biggest news isn't the loss. The biggest news is the points. Giannis put up 54 points in a loss. Oh, where do I begin? Okay. So, quick note, Dame wasn't playing. I didn't watch this game. I didn't get a chance to watch this game live because I just simply forgot the game was happening. Um, but yeah, Dame didn't play. So Cameron Payne was our starter. And the game as itself, as a whole, you can tell the Bucks system relies so much on Dame and Giannis, that pick and roll. And by the Buck system, I mean Adrian Griffin, our head coach, he relies a lot on that. He relies a lot on that 2 minute game between the two of them. Rightfully so. Not a lot, but it was apparent that the game was different. But Giannis essentially could get in, couldn't be stopped. Couldn't be stopped. Got any and everything that he wanted last night, and it simply was not enough. And now looking, one of the biggest plays or one of the most viral plays that is going around is Malik Beasley guarding Tyrese Halliburton at the top of the key. And Tyrese, let me big screen so y'all can actually see my gestures. Tyrese has the ball, he's holding the ball in his hand, and he's setting or essentially pointing for a big man to come set a screen. Malik, as a defender, peeks, doesn't look, and he's anticipating a screen. The screen never came. Tyrese just did this, saying, "Hey, come set me a screen." Malik, it looked like that nigga Malik controller died. It looked like he's literally turned around and he was like, "Oh shit, he's not in front of me no more." And that sparked a whole bunch of conversations of Bucks, Giannis's defense, the Bucks defenders, blah da 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 da. And yes, I don't. This was not surprising to me. I saw some players, not players, but I saw some analysts, some Instagram people, some TikTok people talking about the Bucks defense is so bad and this, that, and the third. But I'm like, I don't know why we're shocked. I don't know why we're shocked. I I think everyone coming into this year knew that the roster was going to be bad in terms of defense. It was not a surprise. It wasn't just randomly like, oh shit, this team is not a defensive. It's not. It's it. I think what's really shocking is that people are now starting to use this narrative that Giannis has regressed as a defender or that Giannis is not as good as a defender that we thought and things of that nature. Blah, 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 blah. I'm here to shut all that down. Kind of like the whole Rudy Gobert thing that was happening in Minnesota. Rudy, fantastic paint perimeter, but when you have no defensive minded or solid or even decent defenders around you in Utah, a Donovan Mitchell or Royce O'Neal. Royce O'Neal's a solid defender, but when he's your best defender or Donovan Mitchell is your best defender, that's how you know your team is not great defensively. In Brooklyn, Royce O'Neal is not even one of the top two, three defenders on the team alone. They still have Nick Claxton, Ben Simmons, Mikal Bridges. Like, he's not even a top three defender on that team. So that's how you like. But anyway, now people are using the narrative that Giannis has regressed defensively. The Bucks have a problem because defensively, offensively, they're perfectly fine. I don't have a problem with not perfectly fine, but they're fine. I don't have a problem with offensively, but defensively, showed the same graphic or shared the same news. The worst defensive rated team in all of the NBA. And again, I'm not gonna say I'm shocked. I didn't think we'd be the worst defensive rated team in the entire league, but I'm not why I'm confused as to why people are all of a sudden shocked as to why, oh man, this team is bad defensively. Giannis needs defenders around him, or blah 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 blah. This team need defenders to be good. Well, no shit, no shit, no shit. It is a team oriented game. It is a team oriented game. You need players to play defense. This is not. This isn't a Giannis problem. This isn't a coaching problem. I don't. I think it's a little bit to a degree a coaching problem, just for the simple fact that Adrian Griffin is literally his first year, and they're 8 games into the season, or whatever, how many games into the season. I'm not gonna sit here and say that the Bucks continue to have defensive woes, because I think I would at least hope so that we pick someone up that is going to help us defensively, whether that be a couple players, change something scheme wise, whatever the case may be. I'm hoping we pick up some players. I'll down the line when that time comes, if I, when the trade deadline, shit like that happens, then yeah, that will be a time. But other than that, right now, it is still very, very early into the year. It is still very early into the year. Yes, teams are still figuring themselves out. I think the Bucks is a team that also still needs a decent amount of time to figure themselves out. So, with that being said, with that being said, holy shit, we regressed when that nigga Dame is not on the fucking court. If it wasn't, if Giannis, God forbid Giannis needed to take a breather. God forbid Giannis needed to take a sip of water. God forbid Giannis needed to catch his breath. Granted, Giannis is phenomenal. If he wanted to play all 48 minutes, I'm sure he could do that and be perfectly fine. But I don't want him playing all 48 minutes. I don't want him to be on the court every second of every fucking game. I don't want that. I don't want it. As much as I love him as a player, as much as I love him as he's my favorite player, I don't want this man to overwork himself, because at the end of the day, this is the regular season. And this isn't even, we aren't in March, we are in April. We aren't fighting for a playoff spot. We're 5-3. At worst, at worst, at worst, we're like what? A top. Let me look actually. Where are we at? And where are the Bucks currently? I'm gonna predict that we're like a top four East top four seed in the East. I'm gonna predict we're top four seed in the East. We're top five. We're currently tied with the Atlanta Hawks at 5-3. So essentially tied for fourth. I'm not worried about this team right now. The only time I will be worried about this team is if, come, what is it, November 10th, come late December, early January, and we're still having these defensive struggles. We're still having these problems. We're still, just in case, I know I forgot. I'm sharing my screen, but I got it covered. But yeah, we're tied for Atlanta at what is it, fourth? Like at 5-3, like I mentioned. But yeah, I'm not worried too much about this team. Like I mentioned, coming into this season, everyone knew that this team defensively was not going to be a good team. I thought at worst we were going to be an average to below average defensive team, until we made moves to get players that were better at defense. Because no one on this roster could really play defense for real. Outside of a couple names, Jay Crowder is our best on ball defender. And then we have Giannis and Brook Lopez. By no way, shape, and form is that going to win us a championship. By no way, shape, and form is that going to win us a championship. It'll get us past the first round, maybe get us past the second round. It'll be tough in the Eastern Conference, in Eastern Conference Finals, I mean. But God forbid we go up against Clippers, Lakers, Nuggets, Warriors, hell, Phoenix, and we ain't got no defense at all. Jay Crowder is still our best defender, on ball defender, perimeter defender. What? And you expect us to win a championship like that? Fuck no. No. They are still my team. They are still my favorites to win the NBA. Almost said NFL. I still pick them to be NBA favorites to win it all. I don't think that's not changing. I'm not switching up and saying that this team is going to be doo doo or but. I'm not switching up on that at all. What I'm saying is, in order for this team to really be as great as they can, we have got to go get some defenders. Period. Point blank. Period. Point blank. Off the top of my head, off the top of my head, let me think. Fuck it, go get Bam. I'm playing, but no. I would have to think. What the what? Off the top of my head, I don't know. Honestly, off the top of my head, I don't know. I would have to look at some players that's on some expiring contracts, 1 year deals, etc., etc. Come back, give you some solid ideas. But there's no way, shape, and form we should have regressed this much when when Dame is not on the floor. Because if this is the case, if Giannis, God forbid, if Dame gets hurt long term or it's not even long term, if Dame is out for like 2 weeks for like a sore ankle, and this man Giannis has to drop 50 just for us to be competitive in wins, that's a problem. That's a problem. On top of that, we can't play defense. That's another problem. But let me digress. This is still very early in the season. Very early. It's so early in the season. It's not even funny. So that's why, again, I'm not worried too much about this team and all the people that are acting shocked. Like, oh man, I didn't expect the Bucks to be this bad defensively. They have Giannis. They have theirs. Niggas knew coming into the year, that this roster was not good defensively. It wasn't. I don't know why people all of a sudden shocked. I don't know why people all of a sudden confused. If niggas just wasn't paying attention, then fine. But I don't know why people all of a sudden acting like this is brand fucking new. Looking at this roster, and I look at this roster every single time I go over this Bucks team and go over a Bucks game. Look at this roster and tell me who is a competent defender. Competent defender. Jay Crowder? Yes. Giannis? Yes. Brook Lopez inside the paint? Perfect. Chris Middleton? Back in his heyday? Hell yeah. Malik Beasley? Cameron Payne? Bobby Portis? Pat Connaughton? Machamp? Andre Jackson Jr. And these niggas don't even see the court. And even if they did, none of them I would trust on defense. So what are we doing? What are we doing? What are we doing, bro? I'm not worried. I'm not worried too much about this team in the early stages of the regular season. Now, if we're still like this come All-Star break or close to All-Star break, then we got some problems. We got some issues. But other than that, I'm not worried about this team, bro. I'm not worried. We're without Dame. I already know defensively we're ass. It doesn't help that Giannis had 8 turnovers this game as well. So yeah, I'm not worried, bro. But enough about that. Enough about that little rant. Let's go into the stats. Man of the hour, Giannis led all scores with 54 points. 3 assists, 12 rebounds as a whole. Shot 16 of 18 from the free throw line, amazing. And shot 19 of 25 from the field as a whole, shooting 76%. Chris Middleton, second leading scorer, had 19 points, 4 assists, 2 boards, 2 of 6 from 3, and 7 of 13 from the field. Lopez only had 2. Almost said Michael. Malik Beasley chipped in with 13, and off the bench, not Pat Connaughton, Bobby Portis chipped in with 11. Looking at the winners, however, Pacers. Pacers team is very fucking nice. They got Tyrese back after they got blown out by like 600 to the Celtics the other week or some shit like that. Yeah, this team is very good. This shouldn't be coming a shock. Tyrese Halliburton, one of the best guards in the league, top 5 guard in the league, in my humble opinion, so far in these early stages. He 29 points, 10 assists, 6 boards, 4 of 4 from the free throw line, 5 of 9 from 3, 10 of 17 from the field. Amazing game. Benedict Maruthun. Benedict had 26, 11 boards, goddamn. 37 from 3, 9 of 18. Again, a lot of solid young players. This team is amazing. Miles Turner chipped in with 21 and 6 boards. Bruce Brown had 11 along with 9 boards and 7 assists. Buddy Hield off the bench also chipped in with 11 points. Shot the ball terribly, but nevertheless, again, I'm not worried too much about this team. I'm not worried about the Bucks too much. I think it's glaring issues that we need to fix. Defense is the biggest one. But again, yeah, I'm not I'm not worried too much about this team. I'm not. 6-3, the Pacers are, mind you. So this is a very good team. And the team we're tied with at fourth ended in a buzzer beater. The Atlanta Hawks, DeJounte Murray hit a crazy buzzer beater 3 to beat the Orlando Magic 120 to 19. 120 to 119. Trey Young and these boys are on a mission. And I love to see it. Like I mentioned, Trey Young is on a mission. It was in Mexico City. I didn't know that. But yeah, Trey Young led all scorers with 41 points, 8 assists on the day, along with 3 steals. 5 of 15 from the 3. Didn't shoot it that well, but did most of his damage from the free throw line, as well as shooting decent enough from the field, is shooting 12 of 27. DeJounte Murray, like I mentioned, game winner go ahead 3, 16 points, 2 steals, 2 assists, 3 boards, along with shooting 6 of 15 from the field. Jalen Johnson, who is really good. Like, if you have not watched the Hawks game, or you don't know who Jalen Johnson is, I implore you to do yourself and everyone around you a favor and just throw on this man's highlights for this year alone. This man is dunking everything. He dunks everything. I shit you not. If he catches the ball 9 times out of 10, it ends in a dunk. I'm very serious. This man is a very solid young piece for this team. Chipped in with 19 points, 9 rebounds, also a block, 2 of 4 from 3, and 7 of 9 from the field. DeAndre Hunter also had 12 points and shot decent from the 3-point line. Bogdan Bogdanovic also chipped in with 15 off of the bench. Good win as a whole for Atlanta. And if you hear stuff, that's my neighbors for some reason. I don't know why they banging the doors or whatever. I think someone upstairs. But anyway, Orlando, again, very high hopes for this team. They've kind of hit a stale patch a little bit, but again, very early. But leading scorer for Orlando was Jalen Suggs. Shot the ball very well. 7 of 10 from the field, 4 of 5 from 3, 2 rebounds, 1 assist, 6 steals. Damn, all along with having 5 fouls? Getting 6 steals with 5 fouls is crazy. Man, damn. But yeah, led all Magic scores with 21. Markel Fultz. I don't know why I sounded like French a little bit. Markel Fultz struggled to shoot the ball, shooting 41% from the field, chipping in with 13. Gorgai chipped in with 12, along with Paolo chipping in with 17, and Franz Wagner chipping in with 12. If I'm Paolo and you have the expectation that he has and the type of potential that he also has in games like this, I would want to see a little bit more from him in terms of taking over in that late fourth quarter. I would want to see a little bit more. 14 shots isn't bad, but I would want to see just a smidge more. Just a smidge. I would want to see a little bit more from him, if I'm being honest. But other than that, great win. Great all in all. Great win for the Atlanta Hawks. This team, again, early in the season, but this team, both those young teams, are really coming out with like a vengeance and showing motherfuckers like, yo, we may be young, but we got some shit to prove. So, looking at tonight's in season games, we got Kyle Kuzma averaging 25 points flat on the year. Jeez Louise. But in East Group B, we have the Wizards taking on the Hornets. Both teams are 2-5. East Group A, we have the 6-1 Sixers taking on the 2-7 Pistons. In East Group C, we have the 5-2 Celtics taking on the 4-4 Nets. And for Western Conference, we have the West Group C taking 5-2 Timberwolves taking on the 3-5 Spurs. West Group A, we have two terrible teams. The Utah Jazz taking on the Grizzlies. And West Group B, we have the Pelicans taking on the Rockets. And the final three games of the night, we have the Clippers taking on the Mavs, Thunder taking on the Kings, and we have the Lakers taking on the Suns. Quickly, gonna give my predictions for each game and wrap it up with some UFC 295 talk. And then I'm gonna be out y'all hair. I will be gone. So let me quickly fix this cam. I think I figured out why my camera is like kind of loose, like in the plug, like the actual plug in thing. It's kind of like loose, kind of like janky a little bit. So I think that's why it always stops. So, but yeah. Anyway, for this game, I have the Wizards winning this since they're at home. Celtics. The Sixers and the Pistons, I will go Sixers because Joel Embiid has just been crazy dominant at the start of the season. Looking at his averages, man, is putting up 32, 11, and 6. What? Joel? Okay, I see you. For the Celtics, I don't think Cam Thomas is playing. I think he's out currently with like a sprained ankle or something. I think he'd be out for like 2 weeks. So they are going to be without Cam. With that being said, I'm going to lean towards the Celtics. I feel like Cam going to get these niggas like 70. But without him, I think the Celtics win this pretty easily. Spurs and the Timberwolves, I think the Timberwolves come in and take care of business. And it's just been going crazy, performing at an MVP level. 28 points per game, 6 rebounds, and 5 assists. And this is a game. I Am I the only person that thought Utah was going to be better than what they were? On what they are, I should say. Am I the only person? Am I the only person that was delusional and believing in Utah, thinking they were going to be like around the record that the Spurs are right now, or like or like at least around 500? Am I delusional for thinking that? If so, I'll gladly be delusional. I don't know why I thought this team was going to be a lot better than what they were. I think also, I think Walker Kessler, their defensive big is out. I mean, their center is out right now. So I think that could be it because he's a lot to that front court. Maybe that's what it is. If so, then I'll take back what I said. But even still, it just feels like this team should be better, the Utah Jazz. But I'm a lean Grizzlies. They got their first win. I think spark the team a little bit, get them going. The Rockets taking on the Pelicans. I'm kind of lean towards the Rockets. This team has been very fun to watch. Like I kind of figured going into this season, they got a lot of young pieces and just a lot of young, fun players to watch. And as a whole, Ime Udoka's got this team going in the right direction. So I'm gonna say Rockets, Mavs, and the Clippers. This should be a fun fucking game. Look at this, James Harden going against Luka and them boys again, Everyone should be healthy, hopefully. Paul George is leading the Clippers in scoring with 25 a game. Ugh. Luca's being Luca, damn near putting up a triple double with 32, 9, and 9. Ugh. But I'm gonna lean Mavs. I'm gonna lean Mavs just for the simple fact that the Mavericks have been on fire. And when it comes to playing in the clutch or playing against teams or playing in games that are close games, they're essentially like number one in every single stat. Clutch points, clutch baskets, clutch defense, everything. They're like number one in every fucking thing. I don't know how, I don't know why, but they're very good when it comes to that fourth quarter. So if they just keep the game close against the Clippers, 9 times out of 10 gonna win. They're gonna win. So if I'm the Clippers, you either want to blow them out or you're probably gonna lose. Just being honest. The Thunder going against the Kings. I believe De'Aaron Fox is still out, so I'm gonna lean Kings. And we have the Suns taking on the Lakers again. Feels like these teams have played like for the 50th time already. Um, if AD is playing, I would probably say Lakers. If Beal is playing, if everyone is at full strength, this should be a good game. But if AD is not playing, then I don't think the Lakers have a chance of winning this game. But if he is, I think it becomes a lot closer. So I'll say Suns, but I think it'll be close. It wholeheartedly depends on if Anthony Davis is playing or not. Other than that, that is all NBA talk that I have for you guys. And now we shift gears to another sport again, and that sport being the UFC. Or not sport, I should say that company being the UFC, the sport being MMA. Corrected myself. Anyway, we are looking at Yuri Prohaska against Alex Pereira. Now, with this fight, I'm going to quickly pull up these stats real quick. But yeah, with this fight, that is not what the fuck? That is not Prohaska. That was not Prohaska. Oh, that was weird. Anyway, that was very weird. That was not Prohaska. But yeah, they showed Alex Pereira versus fucking Sergey Pavlovich. That was weird. But yeah. Oh, the thing actually works now. I can actually see like the tail of the tape for the fighters in the main card. For some reason on 294, I couldn't do that with the Islam versus Volk fight, but I can do it now. So that's a lot better. Do they have the odds on here? They do. Alex coming in at the favorite at negative 20 minus 122, and Yuri being underdog at 102. So let's just look at this card as a whole real quick, or this main card as a whole real quick. Solid card, nothing too crazy to bat your eyes. Oh, Jared Gordon's fighting. Uh yeah, nothing too crazy. Like I mentioned, I will be watching this fight 100%. So yeah. But tail of the tape, we have Alex Pereira, the favorite going into this fight, going against Yuri Prohaska, coming off, I guess Dana White called it one of the worst shoulder injuries he's ever seen, ever. So I'm glad to see him even come back into the ring or octagon, I should say, being able to do this, let alone throw a punch or let alone be punched in his shoulder. But yeah, this should be a fun fucking fight. This is going to be a phenomenal fight. Obviously, this fight, the main card of this was going to be John Jones versus Stipe Miocic. Obviously, Jones got injured, and I would like to correct myself. I said Stipe didn't take the fight or didn't take the fight with either Sergey or Tom Aspinall. He wasn't even offered the fight. So I would like to correct myself on that. That came out literally like a day after I fucking reported it. So I was like, ah, damn. I was like, ah, shit, I gotta correct that. But yeah, so we probably won't see them till UFC 300. So yeah, that's gonna be some months away. But until then, we have the light heavyweight and then the heavyweight division fighting in the co and main event as usual, as scheduled, just a little bit different, tweaked it a little bit. Now, Looking at the detail of the tape, you have obviously with the reach advantage going slightly, like literally slightly, into the advantage of Yuri Oscar. They're essentially the exact same in terms of build. Alex is an inch taller. Their bench essentially going to weigh the same. There's no going to be crazy advantage in terms of Alex when he was fighting at middleweight, when he was fighting Izzy. These motherfuckers are essentially the same person. Not the same person, but the same build in terms of everything. So, looking at their knockout percentages, TKO submissions, this fight most likely is going to finish in some type of a knockout. And I think that's why people are going to be so excited for it, whether it be a TKO. Let me not say knockout. I think this fight ends in a finish. I think that's a better term. Even though both these guys have an 86% knockout rate, I think this fight wholeheartedly ends in a finish. I don't think. See, it's tough because I really like both of these fighters. Over years and over time, watching and listening to Yuri, I've become more and more of a fan of his. I wish Jamal fucking Hill didn't get injured because holy shit, I really want to see this dude. I really want to see Jamal Hill fight one of these dudes. Really want to see him fight Yuri because they kind of got like a little small little beef going on. But if Yuri loses this, we could potentially see him fight Jamal as like a number one contender. Even though, no, I don't think that would be. I think it would be Jamal versus um, what's his name, Alex. So I think depending on how fast Jamal Hill heals from his injury, um, he essentially is he our winner. And if I'm Jamal Hill, I'm like, yo, calling up Dana, do 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 do. Hello, yeah, I want winner, just like that. And I think he will get it. So it'll be interesting to see because both of these guys are stand up machines. Like as we can see, with both of them have an 86% TKO KO finish percentage or whatever. That 110% probably came from fucking Glover when Yuri Bosker finished Glover Teixeira. The schism lean towards Alex and average fight times essentially the same. Knockdown average essentially the same with Yuri taking the lead or taking the advantage in that by point two. So like I said, in terms of like games and stats and whatever you want to see, these motherfuckers are essentially the same. Even looking at significant striking. 5.7 to 5.1, significant strike 67% to 58, 55 sort of per minute. Yuri has a little bit more on that, but in terms of defense, Alex is better with 51% to 40. And then look at grappling, basically non-existent because neither one of these guys really grapple. So, and then just looking at the odds, everyone is leaning towards Alex Pereira. And I think they would be right. And it's tough because I want to say Alex wins this because he had a very close fight with Jan Blachowicz. And you could have made the argument that Alex lost that fight. I think he won. Again, very close fight. I think we have that same thing here. I don't think Yuri goes to the ground, even though he can go to the ground. I don't think he does. Just for the simple fact that I would think Yuri would want to beat him at his own game. Excuse me. Obviously, you think of Alex Pereira, you think of striking, you think of that left hook, flying knees, Muay Thai. Also, congratulations on getting inducted into the Hall of Fame. I believe in what was it, Glory, and what was it MMA Glory or Muay Thai Glory? I think it was. So, shout out to Alex on that. Um, so yeah, I I wanna something's telling me that it's to lean towards Yuri. Wait, yeah, okay. Lean towards Yuri. I'm gonna just do this. Lean towards Yuri because I just I don't know, man. It's gonna be tough. It would be very tough. This is gonna be a fun fight. This is gonna be a very close fight. Um, I would not be surprised if this fight leans to decision. Defensively, I think I would lean towards Alex, this guy over here. That probably doesn't work like that. I would lean towards Alex. However, if Yuri wants to win this fight, I think he would take it to the ground. As we've seen, he was able to take Glover, Glover to share the former light heavyweight champion, to the ground and submit him in the very final round of their championship bout that happened. So Yuri has some type of a wrestling game, some type of a takedown ground. But I don't think this fight goes to the ground, just for the simple fact of these dudes, very honorable, very men, alphas type shit. So I think this fight stays on the feet for a majority of the fight. I'm sure there's going to be some type of takedowns. I think Yuri throws in a takedown or two, maybe three at the most. But 9 times out of 10, I don't see this fight going to the ground. And if it doesn't go to the ground, I would have to give it to Alex. I think Alex is the better stand up fighter. He has the better knockout power. He has the better striking defense. I would have to give it to Alex by a smidge though. I think this is one of the closer fights and one of the closer main event fights or title fights I should say. And can we just talk about Alex Pereira, the type of UFC career that he's had? Like, dog, if you never knew who this dude was and you looked at his record compared to yours, you'd be like, what the how is a nigga that's 8-2 in a championship fight against a dude that's 23, 29, 3-1? Like, what? But this dude is the real deal. This man right here is the real deal. So yeah, I'm gonna lean towards Alex. I would say Alex wins. How he wins? Um, fuck it. TKO in the fourth round. I think it's TKO by the fourth round. Looking at the co-main events, we have Sergey Pavlovich versus Tom Aspinall. Now, this fight, on the other hand, I don't think is going to be relatively close, even though Sergey has the significant reach advantage and with his 84 inches to Tom's 71. Leg reach is basically the same. Height wise, Tom is 2 inches taller. In terms of wins, Sergey has an 83% knockout slash TKO rating, or percentage, with a 17 percentage of a decision, with Tom Aspinall having 77% 70 so TKO slash KO knockout rate and 23% submission finish and no decision. So that means every single one of his fights ended in a finish. The 0% a decision. None of this guy's fights ended in a decision. None of his fights ended with the judge having, or judges, I should say, having to split unanimous, nothing. So this fight, while this fight right here has the chance to go to decision, which I would not be shocked because these are two amazing strikers, this fight, on the other hand, will end in a finish. I would be shocked if this fight does not end in a finish. And also, let me just zoom in real quick. Average fight time for Sergey on a red, 2 minutes and 23 seconds. That's one round, essentially the first round. Average fight time for Tom, 2 minutes and 19 seconds. Again, that is one fucking round. So, like I mentioned, this fight will 100% end in a finish. I would be, again, very shocked if it didn't. And you look at knockdown averages, 6 compared to 2, I wouldn't even be remotely shocked. Somebody's gonna get knocked on their ass. Somebody's going to get knocked on their ass. Or in Tom's case, he makes Sergey tap. But we'll see. The reason I say that this fight isn't close is just for the simple fact that Tom, I think, is the better, well-rounded fighter. He has the knockout power, as we can see here. He has the striking game. He has the ground game. He has the defense. He's the all around better fighter. I think while Sergey has the power, I don't think he can strike with Tom. I don't think he can strike with Tom. I think his power, to a degree, is a little bit overrated. While you have dudes like a Derek Lewis, a Francis Ngannou, you know, things of that nature, all those dudes that will literally knock you out in one punch. Not to say Sergey can't knock someone out in one punch. I'm sure he can. However, a lot of his knockout slash TKOs come from a flurry of punches. He gives you a one, two, three, and then you're dropping on that fourth shot because it's just too much. When you have someone like Francis, it's just boom, 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 and just take that one left, you're out. Derek Lewis, boom, boom, you're out. Um, so yeah, I think his power just a tad bit overrated. His striking never really impressed me too much. Again, he's just uber powerful and uber strong and uber fast. But you take this guy and just make him, I guess, more skillful fighter. Like I mentioned, better grappling, smarter in terms of striking. Like I mentioned, just looking at their striking row right here, you have 8.7 compared to 7.6. Significant strikes, you have 66 compared to 49%. Absorbed per minute, you have 4.3 compared to 2.9. I think this will definitely come into play for the fight. I think this would definitely come into play a lot, as well as defense. We have not Tom, Sergey's being at 57% and Tom's being at 65. But this is the real difference. Grappling 0, 0, 0. 75% really doesn't matter. 0, 0, 0. Tom is the easily, easily, no question, a better grappler. It's not even up for debate. Not even up for debate. There's no way, looking at these numbers, watching their fights, you can sit here and say that this guy is better at grappling than this guy. What's that? You can't. And I think that's where this comes into play. Tom, even if he feels like he's overwhelmed on the feet, which I don't think will be the case, but let's say going into the fight, feels overwhelmed on the feet, he has something to fall back on. He can grapple. This guy can't. Simple as that. And in mixed martial arts, doesn't matter how phenomenal of a striker, how powerful you are, how hard you punch. If you cannot grapple or at least defend a takedown, you're going to be in trouble. Quickly looking at his stats, essentially 4 takedowns per 15 minutes in the fight. And this is going to be a co-main event, so this would be a fun fight. Takedown accuracy 100%, takedown defense 100%, and submission averages per 15. We have 1.8, essentially 2. And this is in the heavyweight division as well. So the heavyweight guys moving around at 255, 260, whatever the case may be. Those guys aren't really graceful on the feet. None of the money odds are out just yet. Probably won't come out until like the day of the fight. Excuse me. However, that's completely fine. This fight, I think 100% ends very early. I think it goes to the second round, and I think Tom finishes it in a submission. What type of submission? Pick one. He's going to have an array of sorts to do whatever the fuck he wants to. I think he finishes it in the second round, very early in the second round. Because I think the first round, it will be a filling out process. Sergey will definitely throw some big shit. I would not be surprised. He's definitely gonna throw some big shit. But I think this guy right here, Tom, will be composed enough and stand his ground and be a-okay and be the interim heavyweight champion of the UFC. With that being said, I am leaving. I am done. That has been an episode. My thumb is. Do y'all thumbs do this? Anyway, that's the end of the episode. I hope you all enjoyed. Hope you all enjoyed. Again, let me know if you disagree or agree with any of my picks from earlier, talking about the NBA, NFL mid-season awards. Um, let me know if your opinions on tonight's game in the in-season tournament. And let me know you guys' prediction on UFC 295, which is tomorrow. I have been your gracious host, Jalen. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and hit the post notification button, which basically lets you know when I post every single time. And I love you guys. Thank you guys for tuning in to episode 11. And I will see you next week on Tuesday for a recap of week 10, more NBA talk, and just more news about the world. I love you guys. Stay safe, eat healthy, be blessed, and I will see y'all when I see y'all. Peace.